track of like.
I'll do my best to keep
steer me in the right direction.
Shit, my microphone's a little fucked up. All right, here we go. Welcome to the Practical Pistol Show. My name's Ben Steger. I'm here to answer your shooting questions. Joining me, Tim Herron.
Hey, what's up, guys?
Hello, Tim. And the man of the hour, Mr. Matt Hopkins.
Hi.
He actually was like, we're going to talk about carry optics. We're going to talk about carry optics because the rules are out. So I've caved into pressure from Matt, and we're going to talk about carry optics. Talk about it more, I should say. But before we do that, guys, I've got here an interesting email. I don't normally read these. I just get these and send some like bullshit thank you response. But I'm going to read this one because I think you guys will appreciate it. Hey Ben, the longer Practical Pistol Show format, more shooting topics, questions, presidential race coverage, more guests. These are all positives. USPSA HQ should schedule 15 minutes every day to kiss your ass because I'd be willing to bet the Practical Pistol Show brings in more new USPSA participants than anything else online or off. I found practical shooting through your solo podcast last year. When I talk to brand new shooters, as I did yesterday, the Practical Pistol Show and the Pro Shop almost always come up. Unless they're senior citizens. The grizzled old coots of Area 6 generally hate you, which I find very entertaining. I suspect you do as well. Thanks for all the great info. There you go, guys. So you're part of it. So I think USPSA HQ ought to be kissing your ass, Matt Hopkins. That's what I think.
I don't think that'll ever happen, but
probably not. No. Okay. So Matt, it's no secret you've been all over Facebook telling everybody why carry optics sucks nuts. So now the rules are out, and you have more of a reason to complain than ever, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, obviously the weight limit is pretty much the big.
Well, hold on. So not everybody knows what's going on, right? So the carry optics is now a thing, and now the rules have been released, right?
Well, all right. Let's do history. So some people thought production optics, like having a slide-mounted optic on a production gun, was good. So they've been like battling that drum for like 2 years. So the board gets a proposal and votes it down probably almost a year ago now. Then in August of 2015, or no, July 2015, they vote on carry optics.
Okay, so
is basically the production division rules with a maximum weight limit of 35 ounces, and you can have a slide-mounted optic.
Okay.
That would be carry optics. It was unanimously voted and approved as a provisional division.
Right, so that brings people up to date. Like, so if they're following the podcast, they know about carry optics. Mike Foley told us all about it, right? So now the rules themselves, like a PDF of the rules, which I'll, of course, will put that up in the show notes on the YouTube channel if people want to link in and take a look at it if they haven't already seen it, if they care. So these rules are out now, Matt, and you're madder than ever, it's fair to say?
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously they're trying to exclude certain guns. If you put a maximum weight on it that none of the steel frame full-size guns are allowed to actually shoot in it, you're obviously pandering to certain manufacturers, either way, if they said something or not. So basically, they instituted this 35-ounce limit rule as a, from what I've heard from the board members, as a interim thing, just to, because they can always loosen up the restrictions later, which no one has asked for this division. Like, I have never seen this weight limit proposed on the internet ever until the board voted on it and it was released.
All right, Tim Herron, you're following all this, right?
As best I can.
All right. You're sitting here, you're struggling to figure out why you should care.
I am.
Right? Hopkins, tell him why he should care.
I can totally understand why he cares, though. And I don't understand it either. Everything else is...
We know why Matt cares, because he works at CZ and he feels like the board just poked him in the eye with a stick, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right, but from where I'm sitting, the board didn't vote on, didn't stick in one division that I thought was dumb, and instead stuck in another division I think is dumb. So like,
which is nothing more than a replacement of the other division with just
which I thought was
a restrictive weight limit. It just doesn't make any sense to me. What would have been wrong with just keeping the production rules and making it production optics? I don't understand where the 35-ounce weight limit.
I got an issue with that too. I think production optics is stupid.
Oh shit! Here we go.
So here we go. So I think
it's hard for people to keep track of this, Matt, because production carry optics versus what you're saying is like tactical ninja.
I call it tactical ninja division. Yeah.
Okay.
Optics. It's called optics now, actually.
Tactical optics.
Yeah. No.
Right.
The problem I have is the board has voted in something no one wanted. It doesn't add new shooters that currently don't shoot the sport to the game because none of those fucking operator dudes stipple within the lines if they're going to stipple the gun. They go all crazy, do like the finger pads and all that bullshit. Use tiny little mag wells.
Well, do you really think that that's going to work? Like, do you feel like they're going to add a division that's going to add shooters?
I think if we made the division and actually thought it out beforehand, it would add shooters.
Okay, well let's think through this. What's the most popular type of gun sold?
Polymer.
You know, well, for what purpose?
Concealed carry.
Right. So do we have a division where you can actually compete effectively with a concealed carry gun?
No.
No. So
why not?
Because you get fucking obliterated if you're shooting like a Glock 19.
Exactly.
In production.
You really though?
And here's the thing I don't understand either. If you're gonna call the division carry optics, I mean, to me, like, okay, I'm gonna RMR a Glock 34. Okay, with the exception of Gabe, who the fuck carries a Glock 34?
Dude, they're all over the place, man.
Oh, come on.
All right, well,
you don't see those being carried all over?
Tim, you derailed my train of thought. So
if
we're gonna go after the most popular market segment, which is handguns sold for the purpose of concealed carry, then we would make a division where guns that you'd actually use for concealed carry would be competitive, right? And it would make sense that we'd restrict them by size. Yep. So you did a smaller box, and they'd have to fit in that.
That's what I'm kind of thinking.
Right, so that's exactly what IDPA did, and I don't think it's really adding shooters.
Is it not? I mean, we haven't had the data to figure it out, though.
I'll bet you it's not adding shooters. So, I mean, we can reason through it that way, and we'll get to the answer, which is...
You mean like the
not adding shooters?
Well, yeah, if you actually go that route, you might as well create a JFrame division, because most people conceal carry a JFrame, and that IC9.
I think the point I'm making is I don't think that we're going to come up with a new division that's going to pull people in that aren't already shooting.
Yeah,
I mean, not substantial numbers of people.
No, I agree.
I don't think that's going to happen.
But I think some people that are sitting on the fence that have guns that are not legal in production, that have like stippled outside the lines or whatever, don't want to compete against full-blown limited guns or open guns if they did RMR or slide optic mount their gun.
So why not just free up the rules in production?
That's a very good argument that I think should be addressed. I know, seriously, here. Now, there's some top-name shooters that have talked about this. Me and Tim have talked to them both, that are saying production should be a striker/DASA race division, not a striker/DASA production division as it's from the factory.
Well, I mean, it's production in name only at this point, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Well, exact same thing can be said for like single stack. You know, they try to make the restrictions like in single stack of like you can't have a full dust covered gun and blah 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 blah. But then at the same time, they've opened it up to where you can have 1.25 ounce pound triggers and you can have ginormous freaking funnel mag wells and everything else. It's basically it's a 1911 race division. So why not just kind of open up production to kind of that same mindset? I mean, it's, you know what I mean? I don't see why they
So basically the people that are talking about this are saying allow stippling all over the grips. If they want to recontour the grips, let them do it.
Yeah.
Let them add a tungsten guide rod. It doesn't really change the fact that it's still a striker-fired gun and in that division.
So we can stipple a SIG 320 and put a tungsten guide rod in it
Yeah,
but
why
it's still
not?
a SIG 320, right? That's what you're saying, Hopkins?
Yeah, or a Glock 34 or whatever you want.
And you'll be shooting your gay little CZ and
I'll still be shooting the Shadow, yeah.
All right. So, Matt, do you have any other points you'd like to make about this?
I just think the board should have a clear intent of the division before they start trying to create a new division.
Here's my question. Why the hell didn't they pull the membership?
Well,
Instead of just
Very good question.
Well, yeah, but instead of just, I mean, the membership kind of spoke. Obviously, there was a small percentage of membership spoke in regards to supporting a new division with an optic, a slide-mounted optic, right? But then the board kind of shot all that shit down, but then turned around and without polling anybody, it was just kind of this, we're going to slide this under the table, and this is what's going to be a provisional rule set for a division that we've not spoke with anybody about, and that's all there is to it. Like, why didn't they get some input from the membership to see what actually would have been viable instead of just coming up with?
Well, Tim, I think that the guys on the board did feel like they got input. If I'm guessing that they got emails or got talked to, they probably got input from people who were really vocally in favor of being able to shoot a production gun with an optic on it. People who thought that that was a really good idea. Whereas most of the membership doesn't give two shits about it. They just don't care.
Yeah, if you don't care, you're not going to send an email to them. But if you do care, you are. So all the people they're hearing from is the people that care about it.
Right. I don't think it's that many people.
About 20 nationwide.
Well, yeah. If I mean, I just have two observations about this. One of them I've made before. I think, well, both of them I've made before. But one, I think they should get rid of some other division. Otherwise, hey, Tim, we were talking about your car racing the other day. How many divisions are there in that shit?
Well, when I got out in 2010, I think there were 67.
67 divisions.
67 different divisions.
Okay, well, hey, let people drive whatever car they want, and what do you care if there's 67 divisions?
Because it completely waters down and just completely dilutes the sport. It's the same thing. It's the same thing we're talking about here with shooting.
Right. So like we just shot Area 3. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think there was less than 5 dudes in both revolver and limited 10
combined.
You're right. Yeah.
So why is that even? I mean, surely the sport could stand to lose one of those divisions.
That's a very good question.
I don't really care which, but I mean, if there's not enough people in the division at an area level to make it a division and make it an interesting match, then why even do it? So if they want to fuck around with some other division, then why not get rid of the other? Why not get rid of a different underperforming division or whatever?
Well, then here's my question then too. When IPSC decided to drop modified, and granted, I'm kind of speaking out of turn because I've never shot IPSC.
Wait, you're wondering how they did that?
What was the last time that modified was shot as an IPSC division?
2011.
Okay, how many competitors were there?
Basically,
there were more than Revolver, I can tell you.
More than Revolver, but not that many. There was not many people in it.
There was definitely more than Revolver, but they made a point to keep Revolver for some unknown reason.
Yeah, that's what I don't understand. That's kind of the point I was making. Why?
I don't know.
You get rid of a division that modified was kind of that whole innovation and things like that, but we're going to keep something where dinosaurs shoot dinosaur guns.
I guess. Well, anyway, the other observation I have about carry optics is if you're going to make it a provisional division, there should be some sort of plan in place for, I mean, this is the numbers we're looking at, or this is how we're going to decide if this is a success or a failure, or if we're going to go forward with this. Like, it just seems fucking goofy for me. It's like, well, let's have a provisional division. And it's like, well, how are we going to know if this is good or not? It's like, if you're going to go off of how many emails you get from angry people that are like, don't take away our carry optics now.
But, and then on top of that, we're going to come out with a provisional rule set with a standard weight, but this is only going to be for level 1 club stuff anyway. Where, like, when was the last time you ever shot over a chrono or wager gun at a level 1? You know what I mean?
You're saying I can shoot my shadow?
Well, no, I think they're going to get an idea of if there's any activity credits, and they'll collect data for classification. I mean, I get that. I mean, I get it.
Then why make the rule set so stringent?
It's not. It
Why
doesn't.
Why
it's
not
not.
just?
It's,
I don't know. You see what I'm saying? Though, why not just kind of leave it a little more open and just see exactly what kind of subscription you'd get to it anyhow?
I feel like the board is averse to taking stuff away that the membership has.
That's what they've explained to me that I've talked to. It's a lot easier to add to it than take away. So if they left it open completely, they would have a lot more like lash.
Kind of like when they wanted to backlash. Kind of like
yeah.
when they wanted to
add a trigger pull away to production.
Yeah.
Stupid.
Yeah. They open it up and then they want to close it down. Yeah.
I would like to see a box stock division also. Shoot it exactly as it came from the factory. That'd be interesting. If we're talking about divisions, but
I guess so. All right, Hopkins, have you had your soapbox moment? You're done with this now?
yeah, I'm good now.
Oh, Jesus Christ. We got to talk about carry optics. What's there to talk about? Everybody knows about it. Nobody cares. I guess. I don't know. All right, let's do some shooting questions. Sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. First one. How do I find out where I'm leaking time? Some shooters are able to run stages 4 or more seconds faster while shooting the same or just slightly lower points. Other than the possibility that I just suck, what should I watch for to find out what I'm not doing right? So, once more, guys. How does he...
I got something after.
Go with Tim?
Go Tim first, yeah.
Okay.
Man, I don't know.
You don't know how to
something.
find out where you're losing time?
Well, I know where to find out where you're losing time, but I mean, it's gonna. I mean, do you video yourself at all? Is there?
Yes, that you could do that.
Right.
That's one good option. I like that.
So I think videoing. I think practicing using a timer a little bit to set part times and things like that in your dry fire and your live fire, in order to kind of push yourself and press yourself to try to pick up speed or efficiency.
Yeah.
So.
Right. That sucks. We'll go to Hopkins.
Obviously, there's two things. There's shooting time and then not shooting time on stages.
Yeah, so there's the noisy part, and then there's everything else.
Yeah, so you're going to gain the most time by reducing the non-noisy part. I would look at that and try to reduce that time, because that's where you'll see the bigger chunk.
Well, the question is, how do you figure it out? How do you know where to look?
You got to video yourself, or have someone watch you specifically looking for that stuff.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the
Video
problem
is probably the easiest thing to do.
Well,
the easiest thing to do. I'm sorry, Ben. Go ahead.
It's okay. Well, when you're 4 seconds back, I mean, the most likely scenario, and I've done this, I'll shoot a stage and then write down every split time, right?
Yeah.
And then some guy 4 seconds back will shoot the same stage who write down every split time. They're going to be a little bit slower at pretty much everything, right?
Yeah, you're not going to lose 2 seconds on one thing. It's going to be you're losing a tenth on every single thing.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Adds up. Yeah.
It's a constellation of issues.
Yeah.
So either by video or by going with a timer, you're going to see like shit. You're going to be like, shit, man, I suck at everything. And then you just have to identify the easiest stuff to improve, and then systematically work through that stuff. But it can be really tough to figure out what's the easiest thing to improve, because it really depends on your skill level, right?
Right. That's what I was getting at. That was what I was going to get at. It's like if you don't know how to self-diagnose, then you might just be kind of spinning your wheels, you know?
Well, no, you could. No, there's other things you could do. You could go do a practice session with somebody who's a lot better than you,
mm-hmm.
and just
take a class.
Well, you don't have to take a class. You can go do a practice session. I mean, then you could just if you use the timer, and I don't just mean like have the timer with you. I mean actually use it, where you go through and look at split times. You know, a lot of times you'll be kind of surprised where it's like, hey, this guy's like crushing me on stage times, but he doesn't shoot that much faster. But this movement from this spot to this spot, he's like half a second faster. Or a lot of times more complicated transitions. somebody, like if you're transitioning across a wall or a vision barrier or something. So the higher level guys tend to be really quick at that. They're good at working around vision barriers, that sort of thing. But just by practicing with somebody who's better than you, you're going to see and internalize where they're beating you. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Oh, man. Okay, but in my opinion, the problem is that you're going to be a little bit slower at pretty much everything. And like in my opinion, also the last place that you look to improve is your trigger speed. Like that's the last thing I would worry about, because it's tough to improve that without compromising your accuracy. It can definitely be done. Of course, it can be done, but that's the most work to improve that. Okay, guys, you want to do another shooting question?
Yeah.
All right. I have both your dry fire books and skills and drills. Usually when I go to practice, I'll pick 5 drills that I think I need to work on and go through 400 rounds on them. In one of your more recent podcasts, the subject of practice came up, and the consensus seemed to be that the GMs pick one drill and work on that for their entire practice session. In your opinion, is this a better way to arrange my practice sessions than working on multiple drills? Yes.
I don't remember when we said one drill only.
I don't remember that either. But a lot of times people's understanding of it will be different than how it sounds when it comes out of your mouth.
Okay, well, the thing I would say is I think you need to definitely have a plan, and if you're going to plan on shooting 400 rounds...
400 rounds on one drill?
And 5 different drills, I mean, I don't know if that's a long day, I think. Or like a long session.
Well, it depends on how efficient you are with your drill setup, right?
Right.
Yeah, but I could still see that stringing on for several hours.
Yeah, it's possible. Well, let's say if I put a target at 7 yards, one at 15, one at 25, and I want to do build drills at 7, 15, 25, and I want to do accelerator.
Yeah, that's 4 drills.
Maybe I want to shoot dots.
Yeah, makes sense.
So I wouldn't have to move anything around. I could probably get that done from hammer down to when my brass is picked up and I'm leaving. Maybe I could get that done in like 45 minutes. Right?
It's pretty efficient, yeah.
I like to be efficient.
I'd say that's very efficient.
I'm an efficient motherfucker. Well, I think the guy's question is, Hopkins, does that sound viable?
To do that many drills and stuff, yeah.
Well, it sounds viable as I described it.
As you described it, yes. I think 3 drills, 400 rounds, and then 3 drills or so, yeah, I think so. But if you're trying to do 5 or 6 drills...
Well, let's say I'm going to do 5 different classifiers, and they all have different target requirements.
It's going to take a while to set up.
Yeah, that turns into a fucking nightmare in a hurry.
Exactly.
So, I guess it really depends on what you're doing. Then if I was going to do 5 different classifiers, and they were all 12-round classifiers, then I would say 400 rounds probably isn't enough. Right? Because it wouldn't be enough repetition of each one. It wouldn't make sense to burn them up that fast. But it depends on how you structure it. I think at 5 drills and 400 rounds sounds like a lot. It sounds like a lot of different exercises to fit into that time. Tim, how many do you typically do?
Typically in a session, I'm good for probably no more than 3. No more than 3 drills.
And how many rounds?
Generally, between 200 to 300 rounds.
Yeah.
This last couple of weeks, I've been in the 300 to 400 rounds, per session, just to really kind of drive home points and figure a little bit more technique and things out. But man, the whole being there for hours and hours and swapping shit around and moving things, I lose myself on that, and it's really hard then. Well, it's really hard then too to retain information as to what you've done. If you're there for 2 or 3 hours, and okay, you did 4 or 5 drills, and you did, let's say, 5 or 6 repetitions of each drill. Like, how could you remember what you did? The first 20 minutes of your 3-hour session. It's really hard, unless you then spend another 30 minutes writing shit down. Man, fuck all that. I ain't got time for
that. All right, Hopkins, you were going to make a point before I rudely continued talking to Tim when you were trying to say interject.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Must have been important. All right, guys. Thank you. Hopkins, have you gotten all the carry optics mojo out of your system for a while?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna see it have no activity and it'll be dead, but
No, it won't. They won't kill it. They're not taking it away.
it's done. It's not gonna go past January
I don't
unless
know, man.
they change the rule. I can see them modifying the rule set. Other than that, it's done.
You know, you got to make a push for them to smoke Lim 10, right?
I've been trying. Like, that was the first paragraph in my proposal I sent to the board. Was, if you're going to have a new division, you need to smoke L10.
My thinking is, if they don't have the, I mean, if they won't like nut up and smoke a division that nobody shoots, then like, they're not going to get anything done. So what is it?
Oh, yeah.
It's like if you can't take angry emails from a few guys that have like a dedicated Lim 10 rig, and they're like, I don't want to shoot limited or whatever. It's if you can't like just ignore that shit, I don't. Whatever.
Just out of curiosity, what the hell is a dedicated Lim 10 rig? Like, what is that? Is that a 1911 with 10 round mags?
2011 and 45.
Yeah, 2011 and 45. I mean, it'd be something that's really goofy.
I was gonna say that's weird anyway.
I met one guy who had an IDPA ESP gun in 9mm that he was dead set on shooting it in Lim 10, but he'd stippled it to the point where it's not legal for production, and it had a magwell on it. So it made no sense as a Lim 10 gun. It wouldn't work as a production gun, and it was actually an IDPA ESP gun.
Tactical division.
Tactical, or just buy a new gun, or go back to IDPA, or how about this? I don't have a solution for you, man. Like, like you can't just take some gun and then do whatever the fuck you want to it, and then expect us to have a division for you where that gun will be perfectly competitive.
Sure you do. You talk to SCCA, you tell them to make a fucking division just for your race car. That's it. You know what I'm saying? Dude, we talked about that. That's.
Or he could take his dumbass Lim 10 minor gun and shoot it in limited minor.
Yep.
It'd be just as dumb there.
Yeah, load it up. Why not? Yeah.
I don't know. All right. Well, that's going to do it for us today, people. If you have any shooting questions you'd like to send to me, head over to bensteger.com. Send them to me. If you want to talk to these other two retards, go to hopkinshooting.com. Sign up for a class with them, or don't, or whatever. Just they like to hear from people. They love to hear from their fans.